Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta, and this has been requested a lot by you. So I'm going to show you how I and how you can create really realistic and good sounding MIDI drums by using Toontrack's Superior Drummer 3 and in my case Cubase DAW, a few plugins and a few hardware devices. Alright, so here's the drum set. It's a raw drum set from the Rock Foundry package. Great sounding drums from the get-go, engineered, recorded by the legendary Bob Rock. I have now mixed them, so they sound even better, at least in my opinion. We're gonna get into that mixing soon. So, here are the drums. This is the way I create MIDI drums. For my YouTube videos, on my solo album, they're MIDI drums. Sometimes I had real drummers playing drums on some of my video tracks, like CYHRA's Alex Landenberg and Ade Larsson, who played drums on my latest solo track, Take a Walk, link in the description if you're interested. Ade has also filled in for Alex on some CYHRA tours, when Alex has been on tour with his other band Camelot. Anyway, this is the way I've been doing this for quite a while. So here's a beat called Exit Sound, really basic drum beat. It goes like this. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll drag it here, then I put this on loop, and then I open the editor, where you can edit playing style. This is fantastic. Let's press play. This is really easy to manipulate the drum beats. You have this really simple drum beats, you think that, yeah, damn, I need more kick. Then you just put more kick, and or I need more snare, hits, then you just can create. So let me just dial a drum beat that I. I didn't actually like that extra snare, I just like, bang. Okay, so now we have a beat. Cool, the opening hit, you can determine whatnot, whether it's a tone beat or whatever. Now, when I have the beat here, then I drag it to Cubase. Here it says kick, because that's we'll get into that soon, how things are rooted out from the SD3. So I drag it here, put that in the beginning, like this. Then I delete this here, so it doesn't play twice. Cool. Close this window. Close this for now. And now we have a beat here. Then I double click. This drum editor in Cubase, this is the best one I've tried. The Superior Drummer 3 has a little bit similar, but I prefer this. I've been using this such a long time, long before I even used the Superior Drummer, so I'm so used to this. Well, there I have rooted, everything. Bass drum, kick drum, acoustic snare. If I need to edit this more, then I can just, draw more kicks here. Make sure that they are around the same level. And as you can see here, the hits, they aren't all at the same level. Like, if you're a real drummer, he or she doesn't hit everything, on the same level. So now I have a couple of more kicks. This way I can do. Then I can add fills, or then I can choose. There's many different drum fills in Superior Drummer. So this is really easy way to do. And let's say if I have this kind of let me just draw here a lot of kicks and let's put them, you know, that they are not on the same level. Around 120 I usually set this. And then let's listen. It was pretty cool. It was a little static. So what I do is I paint this. Then I have this here. There's a lot of presets. This what I've done myself. So you can edit these. This is also a really good feature on Cubase. So this is Cubase 12 Pro I'm using. I'm not sure if the editor is that good on the cheaper versions of Cubase. Here I can add, swing, whatever, randomize those hits. So what I've done is I have created this preset. If you saw, it changed them a little bit. Then I can change them. It randomizes every time then. So now when we listen, it sounded like a human now. So it wasn't, completely on the grid. This is really good, the editor. Really simple. And I have a lot of libraries. Let's clear filters. On Superior Drummer, the core library, there's so much different beats you can choose. Then I have bought the different packages and add-on packs, the duality packs. These are Alex. So, it's awesome. Okay, now into the mixing. Few words about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. What is a Skillshare? It's a fantastic online learning community with like thousands of courses ranging from mixing, recording, planning, gardening, repairing cars, you name it. It's great. I'm a quite seasoned, music professional, and I still learned a bunch from Skillshare because you can always learn. You're never ready. So regarding this topic, or the video's topic, drum mixing, there's great courses here ranging from, how to create, hip-hop beats, whatever. And then this course, the mixing music, learn how to mix a pop song like a pro. This is great. It's 4 hours, but I actually got really good ideas and different ways of doing things. So a strong recommendation. And with my code Euge Valovirta, or the link in the description, first 1,000 people will get a 1 month subscription for free, like a trial. So strong recommendation. Check that out because there's great videos. There's no ads, no hassle. So yeah, it's great. Skillshare. This is the drum kit I mostly use. I just like this drum, engineered by Bob Rock. You can't go wrong. And here's the mixer. It's your basic. There's kick sub, 2 snares, actually 3, but I hardly use the side snare and I muted that. Hi-hat, toms, right, overheads, and so on. A lot of different ambiences. I think I pretty much use just this overhead and the ambience mid, I think. And then what you do if you want to have multi-out, like here, these go out to 1 and 2, out 1 and 2. This goes to 3, 4. So then they go out from this to Cubase, and Cubase automatically creates those tracks in your session, which is really cool. So there's no processing, nothing is going on here. Obviously, you can use there's a lot of great presets like Bob Rock has done, like a metal kit. So if you're not familiar with mixing drums, you can use presets that they have here. There's like so cool. Toontrack has created like LA 1991. This is really close to Metallica's Black Album drum sound. And then you can obviously mix them here if you want. But the way I do it, because I mix a lot of real drums too, so this is a most familiar way for me to work. Now we got this down. How I make the beats. Then let's just take some groove that has maybe a little bit more tone. Metal Machine, I really like this John Tempesta package. Let's actually take some jam track. He has really cool jam tracks. Let's take the Pirate. Okay, so that's that. And the way I mix, let's close this, open the mix console. Here's my drum tracks. Let me put it in the actual mix window. Here are what I just showed you, the outputs from Superior Drummer. They heard it, then I named them. So these are the single drums. Then they all go to these buses. Both kicks go to this kick bus. Both snare bus. 4 toms, tone bus. And then this hit drum bus. This is where these 3 buses go. And what I have there is this Tegeler Audio's Magnetismus. There isn't a plugin that does this, but you can kind of mimic this, because what this is, it's a VCA compressor and kind of like a tape mojo magnet machine. You can just slam and crush, you know, absolutely fantastic on drums. After I got this, I haven't used any triggering or samples on any of the mixes I have done, because this, you can pretty much shape the drums, you know, to fat and or snappy or, you know, exploding, whatever with this one. Plugins, I will probably use some VCA compressor plugin and some tape saturation machine. There's a reason why hardware gear still exists, because it's sometimes plugins just don't do what hardware gear does. Then overhead bus, so these 2 overhead, well, it's a stereo channel, stereo out, but I just put it here because I used to work with this, like with real drums. Usually I have 2 overheads, they go to overhead bus, maybe different ambience mics, they go to the ambience bus. In this case, it's only ambience stereo pair. Then they all go to this drum bus, where I have sound processing. Then parallel drums, that's really important to get a beefy drum sound. And then I have a echo chamber to get a little bit reverb. And in this mix, there's the bottom snare goes to that, not the top, because the top I want the kack, and the bottom the and toms, a little bit toms, so that they're not completely in your face. A little bit overheads, a little bit of the ambience goes to this. And what I have here, this is absolutely fantastic. I can multimedia as Sunset Sound. So this is the echo chamber, what was used, like, for example, Led Zeppelin 2 and Van Halen 2. You know, one of the all-time greatest albums. Basically, what I'm doing, I'm sending the stuff I said, and it comes out here, virtually, of course. And these mics pick it up. Echo chamber. Really great. Another, what I've used, which is great also, is this Waves CLA Epic. Here I have a drum room. Delays are off, and there's plate, room, hall, space, 4 different reverbs, which creates this big space. So these 2 I might go to, but let's use the Sunset Sound for this now. First kick, let's solo that. It probably sounds a bit weird. Because there's no ambience now, so it's really dry. But if I take everything off, I'm using raw drums, so there's obviously bleed, so the gate reduces the bleed from other instruments, that kick mic, and I like to use many times the SSL gate, because you can switch these in this Softube Console. And I use British Class A mainly for mixing drums. It's an emulation of Neve. It's just a great, fat, thumpy sounding, and I kind of like these because you have kind of like limitations, what you can do, you know, what you can boost and whatnot. Really good for drums. On the others, I use SSL 4000E because that's a little bit more precise, and I really like the compressor on this. It's basically the Neve 33609. Really good on drums. Really, you heard, like. It's really, really punchy. Obviously, the Magnetismus is now on. If I turn that off. So these compressor and the Magnetismus, you know, they add that punch. What I usually do, I usually cut 45 Hz because again, this goes in you know, it's either 70 is too much, 45 is good, get rid of the and then I boost here lows, low mids. Then I cut out some of the boxiness, and obviously the input gain, the gain staging is important. So I always want to aim around, you know, -12 to -6 dB. In this case, the signal from the superior drummer, it was really good. That's the kick. Sub kick, it just adds that. Somewhere there, boosting lows, cutting everything else off. And again, the compressor. Then snare. Again, the gate to reduce the bleed, a little bit punch, low mids, little dip to get rid of the boxiness, and adding highs to get that. And the compressor adds the punch. Cool. And let's find a place where there's toms. There's toms. As you see, I haven't done much to these toms because they were really, like I said, it's really good sounding kit. So I just cut it out a little bit of the low mid stuff. And again, this time I have used the BCA's gate, not the SSL gate. And again, the compressor. Let's check out the overheads now. So I cut it, some of the lows because it's overhead, it's cymbals. But I don't want to cut it too much because there is low end information on cymbals. But it just... If I don't cut, the kick is a little bit too loud on the overheads. Now it's way too much. And again, the compressor brings it more forward, more, you know, attack. So that's it. Ambience mics. As you hear, it's extreme. It explodes. So the key is to that. So EQ, you know, a little bit of the low mud, a little bit of the mids, the boxiness, little boost on the highs, and not this compressor, but Waves CLA 76 Bluey. It's great. All in, you know, slow attack, fast release. Check it out. The room just becomes bigger, and especially in rock and metal, really this aggressive. So it's slamming. Then let's listen just the whole drum bass, because I have a little bit in there too. Now the black box, it's great, it works on, I use this a lot on many things, vocals, bass. It just adds this tube mojo, a little bit filth on the whole kit. And then the Mag EQ4, this time boosting slightly around 40, and 3.53 dB at 20. So really this airy, but it's the Q is really wide, so it boosts. So it adds just this air. This mag, I use this a lot on vocals. This air function is just great. It just adds that nice air to everything. And then the parallel drums. This is really important. The idea is that I'm sending this drum bus to this parallel channel, and then I use this determine how much I want that. So if now when I don't have it, yes, it's louder, but it's also a lot more punchier. And what's going on there? There's a tube compressor. I'm not sure if this is very usually used on a parallel compressor, but I like this compressor. 2:1 ratio, medium attack, medium release, kind of quite fast attack. This is just fat emulation of a tube compressor. This CYHRA machine works really well too. This is a tube compressor, but it's not connected now because I've been mixing the forthcoming CYHRA album, and all keyboards goes through this, so I routed, my template a little bit differently. But this works great. The TubeTech works great too. And then EQ, TubeTech EQ, Pultec. You can load it here, but you can load it. It looks like this, the classic Pultec. But I really like to use the console because then I can control with almost like controlling real hardware, because I can close my eyes and use my ears and fingers to dial the tones. This is kind of called, I think, like a New York compressor. I'm boosting and cutting lows at the same time, and then I'm boosting highs, so it creates this smiley face. So if we listen just the parallel channel, really, like, it's compressing almost 10 dB all the time. But now if I put this down and open the drum bus without the parallel, then blend in the parallel. Like that. So it adds low end, like parallel low end, because of the Pultec EQ, the smiley face, and this constant compression. It kind of keeps it like there, kind of behind. You get this feeling of mass destruction. Okay. And then the effect chambers, if we listen them, so let's take the tone bus. This reverb, bigger sound. Let's take here with the overheads. Just makes it a little bit bigger. And then the ambience. This room on this kit is really good, Bob Rock. Just blending it a little bit, it makes it a little bit bigger. Sometimes I use that on kick, but not on this one. Let's check out the hit drum thing. So let's put this part, what it does. So I can really smash the drums with that, or make them really snappy. I have it now set quite mildly, so it's just adding a bit, because these drums, they sound so good from the get-go. On some mixes, I mixed albums that the drums been recorded, let's say, on rehearsal place with maybe a bit cheaper mics and not so good room sound. So with this one, I can really shape them, you know, to be like bigger or tighter, kind of like using samples. But on this mix with these drums, it's kind of subtly, so I'm kind of just changing them, their character a little bit, whether I want them to be snappier or a little bit like looser, more vintage and wider. Because I've used the same kit on pretty much all my on YouTube videos and on my solo album. I think I use this. But if you watch them, sometimes the drums, they kind of sound quite different, whether I'm doing like a blues or metal or whatever. But it's the same kit, but with the EQing, compressor, mixing in general, with the Magnetismus, I can really shape the drum kit to be a really aggressive, punchy, snappy metal kit, or then a much more vintage, warm and bluesy vintage kit. To put it all together, compression, I think I use a lot of, like you saw, almost everything, all channels, they have individual compressor. Then the kick and snare and tone, they go to the Magnetismus, where I have a compressor, it's probably like 2:1 ratio, a little bit over, not much. And then adding the tape magnet stuff and adding a little bit, you know, distortion mojo in there with the intensity I can dial. Then EQ, you know, usually I'm boosting low, cutting the deepest lows off, boosting lows and low mids, cutting the boxy cock, you know, cardboard boxiness out, and adding snap, especially on metal. I really want to have that snap, you know, so I'm boosting quite a lot on, let's say, on this kick drum. Well, it's a pretty hefty boost, 4 dB at 10K. That's that. And then this frequency EQ, this I use, this is a really great EQ, Cubase stock EQ. You can use this in stereo, in MS mode. You can use this as a dynamic EQ, as a standard EQ. So toms, well, I boosted 5K because you have certain limits with the Neve EQ. So I just boosted some really low lows, like 35. Kind of like subs almost, and 5K to get that, you know, snap. And then on overheads. Okay, let's listen what I've done actually here. I think I've got it some harshness off. Yeah, definitely. That was it. Hopefully this was interesting and informative. If you have any questions or suggestions that, you know, about videos or whatever I should, you know, maybe do tutorials, please put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care. Happy mixing, and especially drum mixing. Bye.